If you missed yesterday, got a little bit of internet troubles. It happens. What are you gonna do? But we tried to look at Superior Iron Man, super skinny, super long neck, kind of a weird, awkward figure. Came packaged with Machine Man. I know, right? It's supposed to be some kind of human in there, but it looks really weird. I don't really like it. Machine Man looks cool though. He's neat. He's got the buzzsaw arm. He's got a blaster arm. It's even got blastery details inside. Yes. And then if you missed it and had no idea what I was trying to look at yesterday, here's what these things actually look like. It's a cool robot. Lots of weird parts. So, yeah. So they look like this. Not that, you know, the pixelation would let me actually show them decently yesterday. But these are the GKR, Giant Killer Robots, heavy hitters. Again, lots of cool, like, extra arms hanging out. Yeah, yesterday was Tuesday. That's what they tell me anyway. And then these were the sweet and salty. Ooh, look at that purple. Nice. And the pink one. Oh, I love it. So yeah, cool robots. I'll try reading the rules and see if I actually want to try playing this game. We'll see. You never know. Ultra sweet. But today is no day for toys. What are we even doing here today? Well, let's putter around with the night some more. I feel like we've just barely begun. And in some ways we have. So last time we were working on the head. So we've got the basic head unit. I did not glue on this cowl piece. I left it so that I can pop it off if I need to. Everything still works. It still turns, you know, a little bit. But depending on what I want to do with a mask, at some point I may need to get under there a little bit more. So this can pop on and off, and I'm just gonna leave it like that for now, at least. I can always glue it on later if I decide that I want to, or if I finalize what I want the mask situation to be, then I can glue this back on. But I think it's going to be smart to leave that unglued for the time being. Beep bop boop. I am a robot. So yesterday was interesting. Not just on my stream. Yeah, Lord Telnak, that is another excellent point. Yeah, even if I'm going to have a separate mask piece that I'm going to stick on there, yeah, being able to get in there with this part coming off. You know, I might as well just leave it off now. Yeah, see the top peg here, it just plugs right in, and you can see how deep that hole is, so it can really stick on there and just sort of rest. It doesn't. I mean, I don't think you would ever have to glue that on there. Hey, Emily. Welcome. Cool. So I'll just leave that with the other parts. Now, in theory, this plugs in here. And then becomes... Wait, I had it. Like that. Now, I was afraid there's a little bit... The parts don't all line up exactly perfectly. See if I can. Is it going to focus? No, not going to focus this time. There we go. So there's a little bit of more gap on this side than there is on that side. See, it's not exactly flush. Now you're not going to notice any of that because number one, that's looking at the upper body from underneath, which you would never do. And looking at it from the front, and then with this on here and all the other parts that are going to go on there, it's going to be very much not noticeable. I mean, technically, you might be able to see in there that it's a little bit, tiny bit of a more of a gap than on that side, but at this point, I'm not going to worry about that. So there. Yeah, so if you live here in the United States, or even if you don't live here in the United States, you may have heard that we had a pretty big conclusion to a trial yesterday. The right verdicts were announced, thankfully. The fact that any of that was in doubt is crazy and unfortunate. But at least some justice was done, and hopefully it will continue. I don't know if anybody would be interested on the Discord in having like a serious topics room, serious topics channel to talk about such things. I know some Discords have separate rooms for politics and things, just so people don't get upset, because some people aren't comfortable talking about such things. But I think it's important. Okay. So this is glued. I'm going to hold it together as close as I can. Yeah, that you going into something like that, they're usually what Discord was it? I don't know. I'm in some really bizarre Discords. I don't actually spend much time in them. But one of them has a specific place for discussing politics, and there's all these rules. And essentially, the main rule is you can't take anything personally. You can't get upset about stuff. If you see something you don't like, just ignore it, leave, rest, and then come back. Which is, in general, that's pretty good advice. Yeah, I don't know. I'll talk to the other buddies, because I don't know if... Obviously, people can talk about anything they want in the Discord, but I don't know if they want to open up that sort of box. We also had the Dune stream yesterday, which was lots of fun, very silly. Got to talk to Patty, which is always good. Chewed through some more Dune. We are frighteningly close to finishing the book. The TikTok stream. There was a little bit of TikTok watching. That is true. That did happen. I am still relatively new to the whole TikTok thing. I can't remember if I actually signed up for TikTok at one point. If I didn't, I should, just so I can get the Norse Meat account. Oh man, that could be interesting. Savage Punch. I was thinking that we should run the Home Buddies like a junior high, what do they call the student body government? So like one of us needs to be the treasurer, one of us needs to be the secretary. I thought that would be pretty funny. Yeah, and then we could run for the different positions. Yeah. Oh, that's right, Uberbaldi. There's a reason why I never did TikTok. That's right. I did actually think about that at one point. And also, my God, I have... Not only do I not have time for anything else in my life right now, but to sit there and like try to make videos and stuff, I don't think that would be very good use of my time. Okay, so technically, there are these itty bitty, teeny tiny decorations, little eagle heads for Questor Imperialis, and little cogs for the Questor Mechanicus. And these go all over the place on these little flat surfaces. I ain't gonna put any of those on there, and I will decide how to decorate those spots later. So now, on one side of the head, there's a little tilting shield, like an old-timey jousting knight would have, and then a secondary weapon that goes on the other side. So I have to decide how I'm going to put that stuff together. Yeah, I'm not going to put on some silly eagle heads on this Chaos Knight. Black Cavalier, that is a very good question. What is up next after we finish Dune? And I don't know. We've bandied about some ideas. We may take a little bit of a break from reading and do something else. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out if there's a way how I can do this without necessarily gluing everything in place. It doesn't look like I can. I may have to leave this aside and do some research. On what to do so I can eventually swap things out here. I don't know. Well, okay, yes. So we don't spend every stream just reading the whole time. This is true. No one's pretending that. Okay, so if I do skip this stage, because I'm not gluing on the carapace right now anyway, so I don't have to worry about that right now. I just have to worry about that before I get to the carapace stage. So I think we're okay. I'll have to do some research to find out how other people do it so that you can swap things in and out in here. Yeah, you can put all sorts of heraldry, and people paint little flags and stuff on there. Lots of cool stuff you can do with that. Or if there was a decal for the kind of things that you like, then you could do it on there as well. Ooh, black and white. Alright, so the carapace itself gets a bunch of little... It has all these little holes. And there are things that go in all those little holes. So now we have to hunt down all of these little rails and little handholds like that. So this should be fun. And by fun, I mean really tedious. But that's part of the build. Now see, Emily, that is a good use of your channel points. Modify all emotes. Oh shit. There goes my glue. So yeah, and we'll talk coming up, because in theory, we will. I mean, you never know what will happen, but assuming we finish Dune next week, we'll probably have an announcement about what's going to happen afterward. Ooh, Zardoz, what are you wholesaling? Oh, that just looks weird. The heart backwards. Okay, so this piece goes over here. Oh man, my fingers are not. My fingers aren't awake enough for this fine detail work. That's why God invented tweezers. Okay, that's cool. Oh, you know what I never did? Ooh. I never trimmed these pieces. I got a lot of trimming to do. Bricks of HeroClix. Buy all the bricks. Well, it depends on which sets you're looking at. Some HeroClix sets are better than others, both in terms of the game itself and your preferences. Not all HeroClix sets are created equal. But that's okay. Speaking of buying strange things via the internet, I may have the opportunity to get some... How would I describe it? Technically, they're Warhammer things, but they're not necessarily from Games Workshop. Which, of course, I would never necessarily condone. But at the same time, if it's things that are out of print... Is that sunglasses on the heart? That's great. Things that are out of print, or things that came on sale, instantly sold out, and they don't ever show signs of bringing them back again? Is that something that people would be okay with buying in a different way? I don't know. I mean, again, Zardoz, I would never explicitly condone recasting. At times, I have come into possession of some recasts. I think it's always very interesting to look at them and to see what people are doing with them. It is a thriving industry in some other countries. I haven't seen any Cursed City available in third-party ways just yet, but I'm sure they're working on it. All right, just doing all the cleanup. There were a whole bunch of ways this dang thing was connected to the sprue. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens with all that. I may grab a couple things just to check it out, see what it looks like. We can talk about it. And again, not technically legal. Lots of thoughts on either side about how this stuff goes. If it's the appropriateness of it. It's an interesting conversation. Okay, how did this thing go on? Like that? Oh, my goodness, that's a small piece. We can talk about it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, like that. There we go. Yeah, and again, like we've talked about it before. It's a thing. It's a part of the hobby right now. 3D printing, recasts. Most people have at least one opinion on it. Oftentimes, multiple opinions. Is it right at all? Is it ever right? Is it right in certain circumstances? Or is it more right at times than others? There's no getting rid of it, that's for sure. So you just have to decide what you are comfortable with, if anything at all. And if you're not comfortable with any of it, then that's fine too. Emily, I hope you're having fun. Because it looks like fun. And I mean, in this day and age where you can get anything, anything digitally that you want online, and you have to decide what you're going to pay for and what you're not going to pay for, uh, it's a in some ways it's a broader conversation. I'm usually of the mindset that I try to pay for I try to pay for and support the products and the companies that I like. Typically, yeah, 3D sculpting stuff is super super crazy. So while I may use the internet to try things, I always then try to follow that up with, oh, if I like this, like if I come across a comic book online and I like it, then I'll try to go out and buy it. That's a little simplistic for sure, and not, I guess, not directly related to what I'm talking about here. But all right, Emily, I'll look. I'll try. If anybody has ideas of things that I could put up for options on how to spend your channel points, let me know. Black Kevlar says, I saw a good video suggesting GW bring back the bits, mail order, and contract these illegal 3D. Yeah, was that Midwinter? I think that probably. Yeah, and there are lots of really interesting ideas, and it would be great to see Games Workshop try to, if not embrace, then just sort of accept the world as it is. And yeah, they could totally. I mean, something like that could be really interesting if they, were to really get ahead of it and partner with things, and at the same time give people what they're looking for, like parts and other things like that. That'd be rad. That one Among Us player. Hello. Good morning. Well, morning here at least. I don't know what it is where you are. Okay. So basically, these are little handholds. There, you can see that one, and they go all the way up. But you got to put them on in the right direction. And for the life of me, I can't look at it and tell which direction, so I have to test each one. Because, man, I do not want to get one of these wrong and have it look really stupid. Okay, so so far so good. Yeah, because Games Workshop, they do that. Things go out of print, models go out of print, and then they never come back. Sometimes, or in some really annoying cases, they'll announce something that'll be really cool. It'll come out and it'll sell out in moments, and then are they going to bring it back? Are they going to sell it again one day? Who knows? You click the little thing, email me when this is back, and then you may never get an email. Yes, this is Warhammer. I am building a large model. Holy moly, would you look at that? Thank you for the follow. Pepega Hunter? I'm very tired. I might be completely missing what the point of that name is. But welcome to the party. We're gluing on handholds. It's very exciting. I'm up to the, well, fourth, 122. I'm hoping they're all on this sprue and I don't have to go hunting on other sprues to find them all, because that would be really annoying. So far, so good. I need some coffee. Yeah. I don't actually drink coffee. Neither of my parents did. So I never had it around when I was growing up. Yes, I am an Emperor's Children fan. I'm a big fan, you could say. Yeah. So this night, I bought it's the Preceptor kit. So it is a Loyalist Knight kit, but it comes with all the goodies. And eventually, this will be converted into not just a Chaos Knight, but a Sonic themed Chaos Knight to back up my Emperor's Children. Ooh, Tiny Chris Games asks, what are the Emperor's Children? So in the world, in the universe of Warhammer 40k, there are the Space Marines are divided up into different sub factions, you might say. Both the good ones and the bad ones. So the good ones, the loyalists, still loyal to the Emperor, are divided up into what are called chapters. And they're all super nerdy. But each chapter has its own colors, its own slight different ways that they do things. So you've got the Ultramarines, who are the super nerds. They're the ones in blue that you see on all the packaging. Salamanders are in green, and they really like to use fire, and they have black skin, Caucasian features, just with black skin. It's a dumb thing. We can talk about that some other time. But on the Chaos side, the difference between the Chaos Space Marines are very, very distinct based on what god they follow. What Emily, that's awesome. Look at all that. Yeah, so the Emperor's Children are they were one of the original legions of Space Marines, and they follow the god Slaanesh, whose symbol is part of the heart that I have in my emote. And Slaanesh. So originally, the Emperor's Children, back when they were just regular Space Marines, they were all about perfection in all things, not just in fighting, but also in just being like really cool dudes, essentially, and perfection in appearance, perfection in speaking, all sorts of stuff. So they're all about that kind of life. And then when they fell to chaos, they hooked up with the god / goddess. Slaanesh goes in every direction. Slaanesh. And Slaanesh is all about experiencing things and excess. So what happens when you mix a bunch of fighting dudes who are already obsessed with perfection and how far they can take something, and you add in a deity that's all about taking things too far and mixing all of that up? Well, you get the Emperor's Children. So they are devoted to excess, and they do all sorts of crazy things. This is why we get the Noise Marines, which are everybody's favorite part of the Emperor's Children. These are so the lore has gone back and forth over the years a bit, but essentially some of the hair metal, yeah, some of the Marines get so desensitized that they have to have more and more excessive experiences just to feel anything. So they dress in wild, crazy colors. They listen to music that's so loud it can be turned into a weapon. All sorts of cool stuff like that. It's hard to get just the tiniest amount of masochists is, yeah, that's that's definitely applicable because they also they do like pain. But yeah, all that and above. And again, there are different aspects of the Emperor's Children that you can sort of focus on in your army and your lore and how you build and field things. But yeah, that's all definitely part of it. Okay, so that's all of these guys. Then I need 115. But yeah, they're super fun. I like all of that. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out how these pieces are really weird. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Everything to 11. It would be really, really awesome if Games Workshop actually gave us some more unique stuff for this army. Like if we got an actual book for it. But thus far we still wait. It could happen one day. So essentially there are a bunch of Chaos Space Marines that are devoted to different of the Chaos gods, or not any one in particular. Some of them are just devoted to chaos in general. Uh, children are children having issues as usual. Uh, some of the specific. Oh my god, that's crazy. So the Death Guard are the poster children for Chaos Space Marines that follow the god Nurgle, the god of decay, disease, growth, uh, just disgusting stuff. Yeah, the kids have had an interesting week. Apparently, it continues. So the Death Guard, they have their own codex. They have a ton of unique models and characters. Ugh, that didn't work at all. Then Tzeentch, the god of. There we go. The god of magic and change and deception and fortune telling and all this other crap. The Thousand Sons, they have their own codex and a ton of their own special unique units and things. So gosh darn it, why not us Emperor's Children? It could happen one day. It's not completely outside the realm of possibility. And then also they should do the same thing for Khorne. So Khorne is the fourth chaos god, the god of murder, rage, violence, blood, skulls, so on and so forth. Uh, typically, typically typified by the World Eaters, who are a very, very interesting legion with a lot of really interesting history as to how they got to be the way they are. I have a soft spot for the World Eaters. And then, like I said, then there are other Chaos Space Marines who are either not specifically devoted to any of the gods, like Zardaz's Night Lords. They're like, yeah, we're Chaos, but we don't really care about these gods. They're around, but whatever. And then you have other ones that are just devoted to all of the Chaos gods, like the Word Bearers, and then Black Legion, more or less. So yeah. Yeah, and pre-heresy World Eaters in their white and blue. Yeah, they I've seen some really really cool paint jobs on those. Of course, then people usually typically make them just horrifically dirty. But yeah, the clean white and blue is a neat look. All right, I am. Ooh, now I have to take two of these handholds and actually attach them together. That should be exciting. And Khorne, the god Khorne, is where you get the famous lines from Warhammer that turned into memes and pop up all over the place. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. There it is. No. Games Workshop, if you're watching, I love you. I would never buy anything made by any other company. Just give me more Noise Marines and Emperor's Children stuff. There we go. Yeah, and remember that every Space Marine, every original Space Marine Legion, whether it stayed loyal or fell to chaos, was headed up by and sort of literally grown from a Primarch. These 20 original creations of the Emperor and a couple of the Emperor's buddies, as it turns out. And each one had a very distinct personality. They were lost, thrown out into the universe as embryos in pods, landed on different planets, so each one grew up in a different environment, which affected them greatly. Some of them immeasurably tragically, and they would go on to influence how their legions worked. How the hell does this work? So this little tiny piece just kind of rests right there. Gross. Hey, Patty. How are you doing today on this great Wednesday? Yeah, so most of the Primarchs, not all of them, but most of them ended up on decent enough worlds. A lot of the worlds were crappy, but they weren't complete hellscapes. Some of them were. Of course, some of them were. But most of them grew up and in one way or another took over and became leaders or emperors or kings on their own planets. And by the time the emperor gets there, they're pretty well set up. The emperor comes, says, "Hey, you actually belong with me. Come on, let's go fight for humanity." And they say, "Okay." Then there's the story of Angron. Oh, and I should say that... why is this glue just oozing out of here? I don't like that. That makes it very difficult to control where it's going. These little glue pots sometimes do weird things. Whoa, that's way too much glue. Come on now, stop doing that. Sometimes you get like air pressure issues, and then a bunch of glue will just pop right out. Yeah, so we've talked about how Games Workshop has always had an interesting relationship with names and naming conventions, to say the least. And unfortunately, the Primarchs are some of the most notable cases of just really dumb names. I mean, we gotta be honest. They're super on the nose. Or just goofy in general. Oh, there's a great meme that somebody came up with. Oh, hold on, let me get this. Okay, cool. Whew. All right, we got all the handholds done. Yeah. It's the Imperium of Man, not the Imperium of Subtlety, for sure. Yeah, so many of the Primarchs have dumb names. I mean, look, that's just the way it is. Whether you're looking at Lion L. Johnson, who's named after the poet Lionel Johnson. Ugh. Yeah, anyway. It's a lot of that kind of stuff. It's just silly business. But the worst is Ferris Manus, which literally means Iron Hands, and then his legion are the Iron Hands. So anyway, there's a great meme about naming naming the legions, and it's like, my legion is named after whatever, and then for the Iron Hands, it's King Shark from the Suicide Squad trailer, just pointing at his hand. That's perfect. Very good. Anyway, and wouldn't you know it, the angriest of all the Primarchs, his name is Angron. And yes, people do refer to him as Angry Ron. Because why wouldn't you? His name is Angron. It's dumb. It's super dumb. Thank you for the follow, Mango Smasher. Anyway, poor Angron. His pod, when he was just a wee lad in a tube, landed on a particularly crappy planet. Tiny Chris, right? I'm telling you. So Angron landed on a particularly crappy planet that's like... What is it like? It always it reminded me of... Oh, what's that Dungeons and Dragons world? Dark Sun? Kind of reminded me of that. But anyway, there's a ruling class. They do lots of gladiator crap. And little Angron is captured. Hey, Lackey, how's it going? Angron is captured, and even as a little boy, they realize, oh man, this kid is strong, this kid is tough, he's going to grow up to be something else. So they make him a gladiator. And this planet, man, they love their gladiators. And they want them to be just crazy. And, well, you're welcome for that, Tiny Chris. So they really want to hype up their gladiators to an insane degree. So they have these really cool implants that they jam into their brains. Yeah, exactly. Like gladiator fights from Planet Hulk, Sardoz. Very good point. So they jam these devices into their gladiators' brains that stimulate their brains, and they make it so that if the gladiator is doing anything other than fighting and killing, it just literally drills into your brain and causes unimaginable agony. The butcher's nails. But when you're fighting and killing, then it feels good. Now, obviously, this is going to make for some really screwed up people. So Angron has these installed in his head. Now, Angron, again, no mere human. Primarchs are demigods. They are effectively immortal. They can be killed, but it's pretty tough to do so in most cases. Effectively immortal. They're 10 feet tall, give or take. There's some short ones, there's some taller ones, whatever. So his butcher's nails create just this unimaginable engine of destruction and murder. And Angron becomes, of course, the top gladiator. He leads a gladiator slave revolt on this planet. A successful revolt. If he takes these people, these gladiators, they leave the cities. They're hanging out in the hills. They're ready for the final battle against the evil gladiator / slave owners. And it's the eve of the final battle when all will be decided. Will they get freedom? Will they not get freedom? And the Emperor shows up, as he does in these Emperor has really good timing. Well, good or bad, depending on how you look at it. And the Emperor talks to Angron. He says, well, usually the Emperor talks to the Primarch, lets him know what's going on. Sometimes has to do something to prove that the Emperor should be listened to, etc., etc. The Emperor sees what's going on with Angron, knows full well that tomorrow is the big day, and just takes Angron. Just takes him. Takes him up, heads out, leaving inevitably all of the gladiators to die, the revolt to fail. And it's pretty messed up. Pretty messed up. It's by far the worst treatment. Well, arguably. It's the worst treatment any of the Primarchs get at the hands of the Emperor. Just a complete disregard for what was going on. So, Arrogance, this is all pre-Golden Throne. So this is the actual Emperor showing up in person to do all this. So Angron will be... Well, he's already forever angry. And he's got the butcher's nails. The Emperor takes him, and he again, there's pretty much Angron hates everything. He hates life in general, and he hates everything. Partly because of, again, how he was raised, partly because of what happened leaving his planet, partly because of these gigantic, horrible devices jammed into his brain. So he goes with the Emperor. The Emperor teaches him things, lets him know what his place is in the overall universe, has his top men look at his brain, and they say, well, yeah, I'm going to put this, because I want to put a lot of stuff on the top, so, yeah, I just glued that on, so I'm closing that canopy. So there. So the top men say, well, he's got these things stuck in his brain, and we can't get him out. Now, this is a little bit of a point of contention in the lore, in the analysis of the lore. Could they really have taken them out? Did the Emperor actually want an insane murder beast to use for things? It's debatable. But they end up not removing them. And yeah, no, they tried to take them out. But again, like, could they have actually done it? It's a point in the lore where, like, if they definitively said something new, it wouldn't completely disregard what they had said before. It's sort of the way I look at it. So Angron, again, he's just like, he's barely controllable at the best of times. He does have moments of lucidity, like he can speak. At least at that point, he gets worse and worse over time. But and then the Emperor says, and you get to be in charge of an entire legion of Space Marines. My goodness, an entire legion of Space Marines, and Angron basically says, fuck that. I have no interest in that. I was in charge of noble, worthy warriors, and you took me away from that. I don't care about these people. They're not my people. I suffered with these other slaves. We had scars together. There was a whole ritual when they would get wounded in the arena, all this stuff. Angron doesn't care. And obviously he's always super mad. So there's a very notable scene in The Horus Heresy, in one of the books, where Angron is on... I think they're on a ship. Actually, I can't remember exactly where it takes place, but essentially, Angron is in the basement, and one by one, the commanders of the army go down. The commanders of the Space Marine Legion go down to talk to him, and one by one, he kills them. And it gets to Karn, as Zardoz just said, Karn is one of the most tragic characters in Warhammer. Because he's a space marine, world eater. He's genuinely, before, in the time period that I'm talking about, Karn is genuinely like the nicest guy among the space marines. He's open, he's friendly, he gets along with everybody. He's a really good guy. And he goes down there and he's like, I got to take my turn. It's my turn to go. I got to try to talk to Angron. He is, for all intents and purposes, our leader and our father. And he goes down there and Angron starts beating the crap out of him. And he's on the point of dying. And he finally gets through to Angron, and he understands Angron. He understands what's going on. And then afterwards, what he does and what the Legion does is that the World Eater Space Marines have the Butcher's nails implanted in all of them. They have them implanted in themselves. Because that's the only way that they can connect with their father. By essentially abandoning their humanity, abandoning any hope of having any sort of a normal life, which debatably at that point, Space Marines, whether they believed they could ever have a normal life afterward or not, there's all this idea that at some point they thought that all of these wars were going to end. Obviously later this would be a silly notion, but there was some thought about that at that point. But anyway, just like, okay, we're going to have these things installed in our brain, and this will ruin our lives, and we will just be seething murder machines from now on without any sort of, other emotions other than hate and pain and rage. And they do this in a desperate attempt to get any attention from their father. Oof. And yes, all of Warhammer 40k boils down to daddy issues. A lot of things in life do, but Warhammer in particular. And yeah, and it wrecks them forever. Yeah, normal life in Warhammer Erdansk is not typically super great. But yes, Zardoz, I'd say for a time, Karn is able to still have some regular function with the Butcher's nails. Eventually that will go away, and he'll become just an engine of rage. Karn, by the way, still around in Warhammer 40k, so he's been raging and killing for 10,000 years. More than that, actually. But yeah, they got Emily. They 100% got wrecked. Tiny Chris, very good question. More and more ladies are in the Warhammer writing and art teams. It's still, it's mostly white people, but there are women involved now, which is nice. No, Emily, that's fine. No, you're good. They wrecked themselves mostly. All right, we're starting to look at the weapons. Right, so we've got legs. We have the main upper body, which again, once you slap this on, it's, other than decoration, that's pretty much it. And then we have weapons. So there are weapons that go on the top. Now you're supposed to just plug them in there, but we're going to magnetize, so I can figure out how that works as we go. Yeah, so we're looking like this so far. Pretty cool. So I think the way this works is you just glue a magnet here on the bottom, and then inside of, well, a couple of the weapons are like boxes, and then there's one that's just a gun turret. So we'll see how it goes. And then the arms are all weapons. Yeah. Yes. Yes, the children. But no, but lately, Games Workshop has also, they have authors who they're definitely getting more diverse in their authors that they use for things, which is really cool. And by extension, we're getting more diverse characters and references and things that's nice. Yeah, it's really nice to see. There are some disabled writers who bring some interesting things to the table as far as characters and portrayals. Uh, some LGBTQ and beyond authors that have also introduced some cool stuff. So yeah, exactly, Tiny Chris. It's better and getting even better as time goes on. All right. So in general, there's the twin Icarus autocannon, and then there's a missile slash rocket pod. And it looks like for this one, it's just a matter of the front is different for which missiles it's going to be. A few big missiles or a bunch of little missiles. Now, this is the kind of thing where I usually just pick whichever one I think looks cooler. And then if I'm playing a game where it needs to be the other one, I'll just say, look, it's going to be that other one in this game, which should be okay. Oh yeah. As Zardoz says, there are Warhammer fans who get very upset when there's diversity in characters and in pronouns and things like that in these books. And they get all sorts of butthurt about it. And we say, okay, you can go. Bye. I assume some of you may be familiar with things like, okay, so there's a Facebook group here in Burbank, and it's called Burbank Bigots. Now, it's not a group of bigots, as you might think, because why not? It's a group that outs bigots. So they'll take posts that other people have made and screenshot them and then put that person's profile picture and information when they do shitty things. And yes, even here in Burbank, we have some really shitty people. There is a restaurant here in Burbank that has been open all throughout the pandemic. Just giant middle finger to the state, the city, common sense rules, just whatever. They were cited something like 20 times before. Oh yeah, Tiny Chris, citations, fines, all this stuff. But it turns out to actually get a private business shut down, it's like impossible. And of course, like there are better things for the police to be doing, right? But yeah, it's insane. So anyway, oh my god, so the Burbank Bigots group, they were on top of it. Every time there was a protest going on there, they would, and people were doing social media mentions, they would write down all this, anyway, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, there are these Facebook groups that essentially monitor shitty people. And there's one, there's several of them actually for Warhammer related things. And my god, I won't even, oh sorry, I probably shouldn't hit the camera. I won't even tell you all of the things that they catch people talking about. Just like straight up, oh, I love Warhammer because I'm a fascist. Oh, okay, great. Just like totally open garbage like that. But it's clued me into knowing that there are all sorts of interesting groups out there. Like there's actually a Facebook group. I forget the exact name, but it's essentially Warhammer gatekeeping Warhammer, and it's all posts about why. Well, we don't want women or brown people or gay people playing our game, and this, then this, and this, and so yeah. So there, some members of that group are uh, secret saboteurs taking screenshots and releasing it in other places. But it's like these people are so bad, so bad. There are lots of shitty ways you can be shitty. Oh, there was also a really big cheating scandal in Warhammer lately. There was a tournament. I forget where it was, but like a high level tournament, and one of the tables was on live stream, and they had a pretty cool setup with top down cameras. And one of these high level competitive tournament players on camera cheated a bunch of times during during one of the final games. He got third place in the tournament. People watched the video and they're like, "Wait a minute!" And they zoomed in and looked at, watched what he was doing, and looked at his dice results. Like he cheated a whole bunch of times, and it blew up. And oh my god, it's like it's really people can be so bad, just the worst. That's why the rest of us have to try doubly hard to be good, to balance it out. Well, he got what? He got banned for a couple of months, and for the next year he essentially can't score points in the high level tournament format. Oh, yeah, Aaron, of course, white male, yeah. Yeah. It's he issued sort of an apology. I I didn't think it was a particularly good apology, but I don't know. I mean, I guess contrition is important. And then what, is it oh, was it a year well, it I thought it was a couple month suspension of not being able to play, but a year of not being able to accumulate points. So he could still go to tournaments and play. He couldn't win prizes. Is what I thought it was. I could be wrong. Yeah, the apology was like, I did something wrong. I'm sorry about it. I'm gonna learn why I did what I did and be better. But like he cheated a bunch of times in this one game and in different ways. It's not like he did one thing. I don't know. It as other people pointed out, if my child apologized in that way, there would be more conversation. Yeah, Erdensk. But I mean, again, look, I don't know the person. Maybe he was sincere and didn't want to just belabor the same things over and over again. I don't know. I don't know his heart, as they say. And I am trying to be better at accepting people's apologies, especially online, because it's tough. How do you apologize for something online? I don't know. I don't know that there's a right way to do it. And I'd like to think that we're all capable of forgiveness, but it's tough in certain situations. All right, so we have a carapace, we have a bottom, we have a top, and look at this. Wouldn't you know it? Look at that. That's the base of the carapace that goes on top. And while it has a little notch that plugs in, they put an indentation. Like you could just stick a magnet right in there. How cool is that? And we will do that. What size magnet do they recommend for this? Alright, are you ready to see my highly organized collection of magnets for models? Now, I assume most people would keep their magnets in some sort of a container, right? Probably like individual sections for the different sizes. Would you like to see how I keep my magnets? You ready for this, everybody? Magnets. There are my magnets. Just stuck on a can. Sticking out in every direction. Hey, at least I know where they are. I'm not going to lose them. This is an ancient can of Purity Seal. Like decades old. I know, right, Lackey? I don't. Magnets are wild. That's pretty good. I am gonna wait. So I'm gonna. All right. Here's what's gonna happen. And plus, I can just kind of like. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not actually using the can. And if I'm looking at magnets or testing them, and I don't know if it's the right one, I can just sort of like throw it at the can, and it usually just reattaches itself. I don't have to worry about it. Okay, actually, that's what I need to do. I need to look at the base for the gun turret to see what that has at the bottom. So I need A3 and A8. It should be pretty obvious here. Okay, this is 3. Oh, it has the same thing. Good. Look at this. Games Workshop actually did something great. Making it easy to magnetize. So yeah, all that sort of roundabout way of saying, yes, there are some truly awful people in Warhammer and the hobby, but there are also a lot of great people. More and more, the ratio is shifting to genuinely good people. Much more diverse fandom now than there's ever been. I mean, you look at the hobbyists online and on YouTube, there are a lot of ladies doing modeling and painting. LGBTQ folks. Which glue do I use? Yeah, Tiny Chris, I typically use Loctite super glue. The gel kind, ultra gel. Yes. Look at that. It's got that same indentation. Good. I mean, the point of this specific kit is that it has all of the parts. So I should, for this one, I shouldn't need to buy anything else anyway, but you're right. Typically, they would be like, oh, if you buy this other thing, then you can get all the parts. I do have to make sure this piece will fit over whichever magnet I decide to use. But then, I should be good to pop in a magnet. Yeah, now of course, the ladies who do Warhammer Online, they get annoying comments thrown at them, which is a bummer. In fact, somebody I follow on Twitter, who's again just a fantastic hobbyist, beautiful painter, or it paints beautifully, I should say. That came out weird. She tweeted the other day, if I could give advice to anyone looking to get into Warhammer, it would be don't. And I was like, oh, that's sad. Reefer Madness. You know, I don't know that I've ever actually watched that whole thing. I will occasionally partake in a really silly, stupid movie. It just came out a couple weeks ago. The Eric Andre's new movie on Netflix. That movie's pretty funny. Okay, so that is the base of that turret. Let's see if that same magnet will fit. It will. Now, is that going to be strong enough? That's the next question. No, the Eric Andre movie. It's funny. It's good. Actually, my wife and I actually sat down and watched it together, which is rare these days. Ooh, so if I'm going to magnetize, then I'm going to cut off that little post. Feels crazy to do it, but I'm going to do it. Oh, I love Ice Pirates. I have not seen that movie in forever, but that was a favorite of mine growing up. Man, I haven't seen that movie in so long. I gotta watch that one again. But yeah, absolutely, with the metal tools, magnets, got things flying everywhere. Yeah, some really interesting actors in that one. Is Ice Pirates streaming? Now I want to go watch Ice Pirates. Okay, cool. So that'll work. Now, I just want, like I said, I want to make sure that these magnets are strong enough to hold these in place. I do have bigger magnets as well that I could use. Oop. Not bad, not bad. Oh, on DVD? Okay. So you see the magnet goes there, magnet goes inside that little depression. It's not super strong. Let's see what other magnets I have. I have these babies. Now, when you're using magnets, whoa! Did you all see that? The magnet went flying. So you stay there. You stay there, okay. There are all sorts of tutorials about what magnets are good for what model kits, and they rattle off the different sizes. It's, you know, this size by this size. I can't keep track of what dimensions all of my freaking magnets are. Alright, so that one won't fit in here. Obviously it'll fit in this one. That's a bummer. Yeah, that's definitely a better fit. But I think if I use the bigger one on the inside, I think the lighter one will work okay in the autocannon turret, because that's a lighter, smaller piece. That should work. That's fine. I'll figure it out. You can also, so you can do funny things with magnets. So obviously the main point is right there, but you could add more magnets around it and that'll still distribute the force. Now the tough thing is when you glue on magnets, you have to be incredibly patient and take a lot of time, because what you don't want to do is glue them on in the wrong polarity, so that they're pushing each other apart rather than attracting each other. You also don't want to test your magnets before they are 100% the glue is dried and cured. And I tell you these things from experience. I've set magnets, and then I go to put it together, and the parts push each other apart. I've glued magnets, and then said, they're mostly dry, I want to try it. And then I start to bring it together, and the magnet rips right out of the glue from one of the parts. Like I said, very frustrating when those kind of things happen. Magnetizing things can look really cool, can give you a lot of neat options. It's a pain in the ass. It's better now. Obviously, we've got all of these cool little, rare earth magnets. Unfortunately, they all come from places in the world where people are being exploited. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them, it seems like. But yeah, take your time with magnets. Yeah, as Black Cavalier says, use Sharpie to mark down what sides they're going to go on. Yeah, well, yeah, and especially for their size, they're pretty strong. Cool. All right. Well, we're on our way. We'll do those. I got to figure out how I'm gonna get the things that I'm planning on 3D printing for this model project. I got to figure out how exactly I'm going to get those things 3D printed sooner rather than later. Again, we own a 3D printer, but it is still in the box, and unfortunately, it's not coming out of that box anytime soon. So, a couple things I got to get 3D printed from somebody else. Oh yeah, do not swallow magnets. You know what? Don't even put them in your mouth. Let's just make that a blanket rule. No magnets in your mouth. Any of you watched the cartoon The Critic? Way back when. I don't even know how much I watched of it, but there's certain things in that show that I think about on a weekly, if not daily basis. One of them is the ghost of Orson Welles selling fish sticks. Hilarious. But even better is the scene with the tailor working on the dress, and he accidentally swallows one of his pins, his metal pins, and he says, that'll be a fun journey. I always think about that when it comes to swallowing things. Fish sticks are present. Yeah. Very, very funny show. For you young people, you might not have any idea what we're talking about. Look it up. Some great comedy in that one. All right. Well, we accomplished some cool stuff today. Nothing necessarily huge and flashy, but we got the head unit installed. Did a lot of little minute detail work on the carapace here. All these little guys. And then started on the actual carapace weapons and figured out good stuff on how this is going to work. So I'm happy. I have a very busy day today. Let me tell you about it, because it's exciting. At 3 p.m. today, I'll be on with Pete Wiz on Pete Wiz's channel, at Pete Wiz, for the Myths in Video Games. I think most of you have not seen this show. I highly recommend it. I'm good, as always. Pete is excellent. And what we do on that show, if you haven't seen it or haven't heard me talk about it too much, Pete records a section of playing a video game ahead of time, so there's no issues, crazy stuff happening. And then we watch it and we talk about it. And it's not just any video game. It's a video game that specifically has to do with mythology and or history, and being enthusiasts of those things. We talk about it. We break down what the game is doing, what it's doing right or accurate to the source material, what it's changing, why, what's involved, what does it look like. And then, we just talk and have fun in general. It's really fun. I really like doing it. We had a bit of a hiatus on that for about a month recently, but we're back. I know for some people it's a weird time, 3 p.m. in the afternoon Pacific time, which means it's early evening on the East Coast. But if you're around, check it out. Come hang with us. We're currently he's playing. We're watching Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is beautiful and has lots of real life history in it, as well as a lot of cool mythological references. So it's it's great. It's a really fun time. So if you're around, if you have the option, check that out. Like I said, it's at Pete Wiz. So check that out. And then, but that's not it for me today. Tonight, I'm recording a podcast. I guess it's secret. I shouldn't reveal everything that it is, but I will say that it's a Warhammer podcast. And it's about a very controversial subject. And it has a bunch of people on it. So, those are all the teases I'm getting. We're, like I said, we're recording tonight. I have no idea when it's actually going to come out. Probably pretty soon. But I need to go and do some research and have my arguments prepared and ready. It's about Ferris Manus' name. No! But yeah, so I'm excited about that. 40k. 40. Whims and Poof, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. Well, yeah, I mean, we'll end up talking heresy times as well, but mostly 40k. So yeah, it should be. We are definitely going to talk about Ultramarines as part of the conversation. It's not solely devoted to Ultramarines in either way, but Ultramarines will be part of it. So yeah, and obviously when this eventually comes out, we will share the news because another person, at least one other person who's going to be on it. Yes. So that is, and then of course we've got, kids and everything else. Tomorrow, no stream as usual on Thursday. Friday, I'm not exactly sure how my day is going to go. I have an appointment for a little prick. You can probably guess what that is. I'm excited. And I might have to miss my stream. I don't know. I have to look at schedules and where I have to go. Does one of them have a famous... Wow, Aaron, that is an excellent question. Potentially. Yeah, so like I said, on Friday, so just look for tweets and everything, and I'll let you know if I'll be on Friday or not. Hopefully, I may be able to. If I do my usual stream time and then end right at 11 and go. I don't know. Anyway, I'll figure it out and let everybody know in advance. But yeah, otherwise, especially after yesterday, just be cool to everybody. We all need to work together in this life, in our societies, and yes, we all do live in societies. Just try to be good people. Help out other people where you can. I don't know. I guess that's it. those are my big thoughts for the day. And yeah. So yeah, if you're around today, 3 p.m. Pacific, Pete Wiz channel for myths and video games. Otherwise, hopefully I'll be back on Friday, and if not, I'll be back on Saturday. All right. See you, everybody. Bye-bye.